Hola, usted tuberculos? Es your zipster. It was how you doing, Mrs. Me, zipster, in Spanish. I'm trying to diversify a little bit because, less and less people are speaking English these days. And, if I want to, reach people, I'm going to have to learn other languages. So I'm going to, that's going to be my, thing for, until I get sick of it. But I already speak a couple of Spanish words. I can say, muy caliente, and mucho frío, and como está, and puta, and I don't know any of them mean yet, but I think just learning words is a good thing because then you can figure out what it means later. Okay, but okay. Before I start with my story, I have a little bit of business to take care of. Don't worry, it's not serious or anything. But in the last week, I got like almost 300 new prescribers, and I feel really bad because I used to send out a little thank you note, whenever anybody would prescribe, but it's a little out of control now. And if I wanted to do that, I would have to have a secretary, and frankly, YouTube don't pay me enough to hire no secretary. And so I just want to say hi to all my new prescribers, and I really appreciate you prescribing. And I really do. I read your comments I read every comment on everything. I read all your little private messages, and I try to return a message to you as much as I can. I just want you to know how much I appreciate it. And and some of you prescribers, you're so quiet though. I wish you would comment a little more, just so I know you're still out there. Because some of my other prescribers, you can't shut them up. All they do is comment. And believe me when I say I ain't complaining, because that puts a big smile on my face. Okay, now I'm going to be able to tell you this story because I had to check with somebody else first, the actual person that the story involves. But it is another Club 82 story. But let me tell you right now, if you're looking for superstar dish about back in the day, you may as well turn it off right now because there's no superstars involved in this except one little kind of almost a superstar, but not really. But so I'm just giving you a warning. This is not going to be Hollywood Tonight or whatever extra. This is just a little personal story about me and something that happened at Club 82 that still affects my life to this day. So I talked to the guy that's involved in the story, and he told me that it was fine to tell the story as long as I didn't use his real name because he doesn't want anybody sitting outside his apartment with a shotgun or anything. So, one little warning. There is homosexual content in this story. Nothing serious, nothing hardcore, but there's a little bit of talk about boys kissing boys. So if you're a homophobe, I would suggest you turn it off right now, unless you want to get really pissed off. Then watch the damn story. Okay, where are we? Now, let me see. What am I going to call him? Now that I can't use his real name. How about Alfredo? No, that's too continental. Maybe we'll call him Clem. Now, then it sounds like he's related to Jed and Granny Clampett. We'll just call him Butch. Okay, we're going to call him Butch. I hope I don't slip with the real name. So we're talking about Butch here. So one night we're playing, this is sometime in the middle or late 1973. Another Pretty Faces playing at Club 82. And we got done with our set, and I went over to the bar to get myself a cocktail, and all of a sudden this dude walks over, and he says, I'm not even going to tell you how great I think you are. I'm just going to stick my tongue down your throat. And he does. And I let him. Because nobody ever did that to me before. It came as quite a shock to me. And so, I was really impressed. And, wow, yeah. And these were the days when I was hanging around with, Joe Bryant. And if you guys, here's a little aside, I knew I was going to get sidetracked a million times like I always do. But if any of you guys out there were into the glam music of the time back in the early 70s, and you haven't heard of Jabriath or heard his music, his compilation CD was just put out by Morrissey of the Smiths. It's called Lonely Planet Boy, and his name is spelled Jobriath, and he's brilliant. And I was hanging around with Jabriath a lot at this point in time, and we weren't dating or anything because, frankly, he really wasn't my type. I mean, I admired his talent and his musicality and his, he was a brilliant artist, but he wasn't my type. Anyway, so I am so knocked over by Butch, And Bryant and his little, gang are like, okay, Zip, we're gonna leave now. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stay here because I just met Butch, and I'm gonna hang with Butch tonight. And Bryant says to me, well, listen, when you're ready to be with a real man, you know where to find me. Now this is coming from a guy who had more makeup on than Tammy frickin' Baker. Tammy Faye Baker. I don't even know what her current last name is, but I mean, he was loaded down with the makeup, which is just, it wasn't my thing. So I took Butch back to the Chelsea Hotel, and we stayed in bed for 2 days straight. I mean, it was just, we were having a ball. So then I wasn't living in New York yet at the time. The band had a big old farm out in Pennsylvania, and it turned out Butch was a runaway from Chicago. So he was having a really hard time living in the city. I mean, you've heard the stories about what runaways have to do to like get by in the city. So I kind of took him under my wing and brought him back to the farm, and he, lived and traveled with the band, and everybody adored him because he was just a really sweet kid and very smart and very into music, and he was adorable, and I loved him. And we hung, we lived together for a year or so, and he was really into the rock and roll lifestyle, so to speak, and so was I. But he was a little more actually hardcore than I was, and it got to the point where I knew that I wasn't the one who was going to be able to help him straighten out, because I was a frickin' wild child myself. So I kind of scraped him up and put him on a plane and sent him back to Chicago. Much as I hated to do it, because I adored him. But I got to see him, a couple of times after that, because the band played Chicago, and the last time I saw him, the band went out there and we loaded all our equipment in the club we were playing at, and we went back that afternoon to do a sound check, and the IRS had padlocked the door because they hadn't paid their taxes or something. And so here we are, stuck in Chicago, without a gig, with just the money we came with, because we were expecting the money from the gig to do everything. But I had hooked up with Butch during this, and I was not a happy camper because I'm stuck in Chicago. I don't even have enough money to get home, And so I guess Butch thought it was a little irritating and whatever, and so we kind of broke it off. This is maybe 1975. So that's the end of Butch. Butch is gone, da-da-da-da. So just a few years ago, just before Tim got ill, actually, somebody had started a blog online for Another Pretty Face. And I would check in with everybody and leave comments and, read what everybody had to say. And it was just people reminiscing about the old days and stuff. And all of a sudden, I saw a comment there from Butch. I'm like, oh my God. So I left a little comment back, and it's like, oh my God, Butch, I had such a crush on you, baby. How you doing? So we started emailing each other, not on a real regular basis, because he was involved with someone, I was with Tim, and, it was just nice to see that he was still alive and doing okay. So then when Tim passed away, he found out via the blog, and all of a sudden there's a check in the mail for a bunch of money, and he's like, I know that this is going to be really hard on you financially, and I just wanted to help out. And I'm like, I cannot believe that this guy, after almost 30 years of no contact, sends me this money. So finally he's like, I want to call you. Can I call? I'm like, well, of course you can call. So he calls me up, and we start talking, and I was having a really hard time. Then I really didn't want to leave the house because I was afraid if I left I would die, or while I was gone my dog would die. And it's all stupid, but it's just, I don't know, I just felt like laying in my bed with my blankets up over my head. And when I'm telling him this, he's like, wow, this is so not you. I hate to hear you like this. And I'm like, it's what I'm doing right now. It's what I got to do. It's the way I feel. So he decided, he said, you know what, I'm coming out there. I gotta check on you. And I'm like, okay, great. So he came out here the day after Christmas, and he said, pack a bag, we're taking off. I'm like, oh my God, what do you mean pack a bag, we're taking off? So we go to Atlantic City for a couple of days. We're there over New Year's Eve. We had just a spectacular time. And I got to tell you, we were both very nervous about seeing each other again after all these years. I mean, we'd been talking on the phone, and our rapport was really good with each other. But you know how it is when you haven't seen an old lover in 30 years. It's like, oh my God, are they going to be gross? Am I going to be gross? Are they going to puke when they see me? Are they going to, you don't know. But I got to tell you, man, as soon as I saw him walking through the airport that first time, I just started crying. I ran up to him, and it was just like this the minute we got together again. We couldn't stop talking to each other and touching each other and laughing, and we just had the greatest time ever. That was 2 years ago. He came out. And then I went out to Chicago, and then he would fly out to Pennsylvania. And then, well, the point is, we've been back and forth constantly ever since. We're on the phone all the time, and I just love him. And man, he really helped to mend a broken heart, because when you lose your partner at 53 years old, you really kind of think, gee, that might have been my last shot at love. But wow, miracles do happen, you guys. And if it weren't for me being at Club 82 and him being at Club 82 that night, who the hell knows what would have happened? So, it's kind of like Brokeback Mountain, only a little more rock and roll. So I just wanted to share that story with you. Okay, I'll probably talk to you later tonight, all right? Thank you!